going to switch gears for a moment to discuss another topic. Did you know that tomorrow is National Kiss of Hope Day? Have you heard about that day? It's a day meant to symbolize the power of love and hope. And today, Susan Harrington, a licensed marriage and family therapist, is telling us all about this day and how to celebrate it. Welcome back, Susan.
Hello, it's been a while, Malik. It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well. Happy Jazz Fest weekend to you. I'm so excited, but I'm also excited to celebrate this day tomorrow. Tell us a little bit more about National Kiss of Hope Day. How did it get started?
So Kiss of Hope Day began in 2015 by the Kiss of Hope Foundation, of course, and they were trying to make sure we could enrich our lives as family units, individually, in our communities. They wanted to enrich our lives. And so there, as you said, the goal is to symbolize how love and hope can change how we perceive life. Because if we perceive it with hope, we're more likely to have a quality of life that's positive.
I completely agree. And why is it important that we recognize this day and celebrate it?
So it's really important that we especially show love and support for our loved ones as well as everybody else. You have on the screen here some really important things that are important. You know how it's always great that someone walks up to you and says, things are gonna be okay, everything is fine. That when we hear that genuine expression of care is just important.
It's so true. So let's talk about how we can practice being more hopeful, right? Because a lot of times some people may not be happy all the time. How can we practice hope?
So we think that hope is a feeling, but it's not. Hope is really an attitude. It's what we choose and to think and how we choose to look at life. This is really important because if we do that positive switch, we get all the benefits that we're going to talk about today. So the attitude of hope is simply choosing to look at life realistically and accurately. Because what we do when we're hopeless is we just see the negative. So these are some examples of how to have hope as an attitude. That when we look at life in these ways, if we share that with another person, when they come with us and offer looking for comfort, and we do it from that, we take these perspectives, we're going to both be recipients of this lift that we're going to get. What's important to know is that if we practice hope as an attitude, if we practice gratitude, we get more likely to see life in that way because it's an attitude.
I completely agree. You know, I say this all the time. Look, positivity, hope, all of that, it's a choice. Look, we can't control, you know, obviously all the time people's response, but you can control your reaction to things. And if you choose to be hopeful and you practice it as an attitude, I genuinely believe your life will be better. But not everybody is like me and you, Susan, right? How can they switch that perspective to be more proactive, to be more hopeful?
That's true, because when we're isolating and depressed, it's even harder to do. So the practice of it is an intentional, conscious effort. I want you to think about the motivations that we get from it, right? When we have an attitude of gratitude, when we think of hope over hopeless, when we do those things, we're going to get the feel-good hormones are going to kick in. We're going to feel that mental health recovery is going to happen. We're going to have lots of physical health benefits, like our immune function is going to get better. So we're not going to feel like we're going to catch cold so quickly because we're more optimistic. We don't worry about that. People who have anxiety and depression, it lowers their levels of it. And then if we keep the attitude, we're less likely to acquire anxiety and depression as a distress, to be clear. What's really cool is we've learned that if we have this optimistic attitude about life, our quality of life increases to an average of 15%, which is a nice chunk of life, right? The ability to see possibility when there's limitations and obstacles in front of you, that means like when hurricane season comes around and our home gets damaged, if we see, okay, now we have this opportunity as opposed to look what happened to me.
I completely agree. And not only is it important that we feel hope for ourselves, but it's also important that we give hope to others, that we try to show appreciation to others. You all just saw a list of what can happen when you show appreciation for others. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
So when we show this care and concern, what happens neurologically for us is pretty amazing. There are three neurotransmitters in our brain: serotonin, cortisol, and dopamine, that are all part of stress. And they have to be at a certain level for it to put us in a different state. So if we're really stressed, the cortisol is higher than the other two. If we're really relaxed and calm, then the cortisol level, serotonin level, I'm sorry, is lower. If we're feeling loved, cared for, compassionate from somebody else, appreciated, we feel those things, our dopamine levels go up. That's the pleasure hormone, right? There's also oxytocin that gets involved in that. That's the one that we've lovingly called the cuddle hormone. The most known place we have about that is when a woman gives birth to someone, her oxytocin level goes up the minute she holds that child. That's how we form a bond. And the same is true for us as adults. When we fall in love, the honeymoon phase, right? That's when the oxytocin levels are highest in relationships.
Come on. Okay, Susan, that is good to know. So as we celebrate this day tomorrow, what is one thing we can all do to celebrate tomorrow and feel this Kiss of Hope day?
What a question. So the important part is that you do something that's genuinely care or genuinely supportive, genuinely concerning and appreciative. So if you really want to say thank you to someone, don't just say, hey, thanks, right? But take a moment, look them straight in the eye and say, thank you. You might touch their hand, just reach it a little further, and that'll send that whole neurological experience happening.
I love it, Susan. Thank you so much for being here. Look, for more information about Susan's services, you're seeing all the information on your screen, MaisonVie.com. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back.